Hello everyone, I'm Nini FC, this is Blue Lines TV. Welcome to another 5 talking points video after our 5-0 win against Huddersfield. In today's video, I'm going to be talking about Higuain, the improvement in N'Golo Kante, Eden Hazard, Christensen and Sarri and his rotation policy. You guys, if you like today's video, smash that like button, help me get more than 500 likes for today's video, and don't forget to press the bell notification button as well to stay tuned to all things Blue Lines TV. We're getting straight into things, starting with Gonzalo Higuain, and wow, what a performance from him. It's great to finally see a great striker playing for us. His movement was exceptional. The way he attacks the spaces inside the 18-yard box, moving to the far post and the near post, and goal hanging as well. It was no surprise why the Huddersfield defenders really struggle to mark Higuain. But one thing about Higuain I'm constantly stressing every single time is his first time finishing. This is when you get Higuain at his best element because he's a fantastic finisher. And I think the only thing Higuain needs is a good weight of pass, then let him do the rest. If you see most of the goals he scored, and if you see a lot of the goals the top strikers score, it's always with a first time finish. One of the reasons as to why they do this in particular is because it makes it even harder for the goalkeeper to try and save it because it comes in very quickly. Now recently with guys like Giroud and Morata, we've been seeing strikers that need multiple touches of the ball before they get their body balance right to take a shot. But we don't need to do this with Higuain. And it's no surprise why he really complements the system. When you really analyse Higuain, he is kinda like the equivalent of a Giroud and Morata combined, but of course better. Now what I mean by that is, he has the ability of Giroud to really hold off defenders and play people in, and also he's like Morata because his movement off the board is very good. And is it really a surprise that Eden Hazard clocked the most passing combinations with a striker this season? Hazard knows that with Higuain, he's going to do something useful with the ball. He's going to be able to hold off someone to play Hazard back in. And also Hazard knows that he's going to make space for him in particular when he goes on his runs in the middle because Higuain is exceptional off the ball. I say it every single time. The best strikers score the most goals when they complement the system they're playing for. Still, the only thing I can say though is the fact that does this team do enough to really help the strikers? Now yes, he scored 2 goals, thank you N'Golo Kante, but really there were so many opportunities that players had where they could have played him in, or Higuain could have done much better if he got better servers. There was a time in the match reaction I did where I was criticising Willian for taking a ridiculous shot with his left foot instead of playing Higuain in. And it's like if he played him in, Higuain was definitely going to score. And it's opportunities like this where our players have to be a bit more selfless and look towards the striker. Moving straight into the second point, that's in regards to Eden Hazard. And his performance against Huddersfield really brought back memories of his early season form. Now of course there is context as to why things aren't the same anymore, and that's because opposition teams now have better setups against us. But Huddersfield really showed teams that if you don't press effectively against us, you're going to get found out time and time again on the counter-attack. And when you have someone like Eden Hazard collecting the ball from anywhere he wants, honestly, you've already accepted that you don't want to win the game. But one thing I liked in particular with Hazard and his performance with Higuain was the fact that we noticed that Hazard was doing something which he hasn't been doing for a while now, and that's actually staying up in forward positions, looking to make runs off the ball. Now a lot of times recently, we're seeing a Hazard that's playing a bit too narrow, that's not really using his freedom to the best of his abilities, and sometimes he is kind of playing for himself. But of course, when you have a great player in the team, that only inspires confidence in the other players. And for me, I think that now Hazard feels confident that he has someone on his level when it comes to attacking. We saw a much more dangerous Eden Hazard. I think that confidence comes too from the fact that he knows if he plays a pass to Higuain, he's going to get something back in return. A lot of times when he's combining with Alonso down the left, we're seeing that he's not really picking up wide positions as much. And when you think about it, the combinations between these two are pretty poor. And this is what I'm really excited about. Is Higuain really going to help elevate Eden Hazard by making Hazard become much more responsible with his off-the-ball movement? Because if that's the case, and honestly, I feel even more confident that we're definitely going to get Champions League football for next season. Moving straight into the third talking point, That's in regards to N'Golo Kante. And I told you guys that we're going to see a lot of improvement in N'Golo Kante. How much improvement are we seeing recently? Well, take this stat for example. Since December, N'Golo Kante has clocked 3 assists and 3 goals. Now you might be thinking, Nini, that's nothing to get too excited for. Well, consider the fact that before December, Kante only scored a goal and only recorded 1 assist. In the space of 35 days alone, N'Golo Kante has tripled his offensive output. And this is the clearest indication that Sarri knows what he's doing with N'Golo Kante. N'Golo Kante was never some limited defensive midfield player or ball-winning midfield player. And that is quite evident when you look at the roles Kante has been playing over his career. In that sense, he's always played more of like a defensive box-to-box midfield player. But now because Kante is playing in the half space more and really focusing on making runs off the ball, I think we're seeing a player now that's extremely confident in this role and really understands what he needs to do. Time and time again, we're constantly seeing Kante making those forward runs inside the opposition box, and his use of the ball is really good. Now I think the mistake that some people make is the fact that, yeah, we all know that Kante isn't going to be like an Ozil playing in that role he's playing in. And what I mean by that is the fact that, you know, don't expect Kante to pull off some ridiculous, incredible pass. That's not his game. But I do think that Kante has probably proven that he's a much better footballer than people thought. And I think this is what makes him really exceptional. I haven't really seen a player that's so adaptable to different systems. I mean, you look at all the different roles Kante's played over his career, he's played in so many diverse roles. Obviously under Kante being like a box-to-box midfield player, at Leicester playing in the pivot, at Cannes being like a ball-winning midfield player, and now at Chelsea he's got much more advanced responsibilities. And I told you guys, that I can see him becoming Michael Essien-like, but I honestly feel like next season is when we're going to see the fruits of all of Kante's labour. Now moving straight on to the final 2 points, starting with the 4th one, that's in regards to Christensen and David Luiz. Now in my opinion, I prefer these two together. One of the reasons as to why I prefer them together is because I think the chemistry between them both is much more complementary. Obviously, Rudiger is stylistically very similar to David Luiz in terms of the fact that they have the same defensive instincts. They're both players that like to leave their lines and close people down. They've got very good expansive passing ranges and they're very good technically. But because these two are too similar, sometimes I feel like they don't necessarily help each other out as much. And this is why I think Christensen should start to be considered more. And that's the fact that it's because he plays much more of a supportive role. I like that Christensen covers behind our ball-playing defender. He's constantly in behind the spaces where he feels like Luiz might be a bit susceptible because he does have to push forward to close someone down. And that's the type of defensive relationship I feel would get the best out of this team. One area we've really struggled in recently is defending against counter-attacks. Time and time again, teams are just killing us in the wide areas. But this is why I feel that Christensen could really help us out on the counter-attack. And hopefully, if that was the case, people would stop talking about Kante moving back into a deeper role. Now the reason as to why Christensen is so good at defending counter-attacks is because positionally he's incredible and he's so intelligent as well. Christensen has the recovery pace which helps a lot, but also he understands how to shepherd players away out to the wide areas. Against Huddersfield we saw it time and time again when they tried to start their counter-attacks. Christensen either closed the passing angle, which he does incredibly well every single time, and this is why he's such a classy player. And I'm always constantly trying to stress that defending isn't just winning your 50-50 tackle. There's a ton of things that go into the art of defending. Cast your minds back to that 4-0 loss to Bournemouth. Now yeah, David Luiz did make a massive mistake in that game that basically cost us a goal, but the main mistake he made that effectively cost us that goal was the sloppy pass. After that, Luiz won the ball back again, but it deflected back onto the player's path, and then he was the first defender to get back in the box. He tried to slide in to block it, but then it was too late. But I was looking around, I was looking at Rudiger. I was like, I never saw you busting a gut to get back in position. All the other midfield players as well. Where were you? How was David Luiz able to try and win the ball 3 times, fail, and still be the nearest player to the goalkeeper? It makes no sense. But when you saw how Christensen and Luiz played against Huddersfield, you can see that they naturally complement each other. Now, before anyone suggests that I think that Rudiger isn't good, that's not what I'm saying. I'm talking about the chemistry. Of course, teams that are closer to getting 100% chemistry, if you will, they end up being the most successful teams. And honestly, in my opinion, when you're a big club, when you want to win things every single year, your goal every single year should be to really finesse and craft your game. If there's one thing to take away from this point, that's the fact that Sarri should be rotating this defense even more. I think that Christensen does play much better down the right hand side because he gets to play to his strongest foot, and I think he gets to tackle to his strongest foot as well, and that really helps him a lot. But there's also going to be games where you could use Rudiger and his expansive passing range against these very defensive teams, or you could do something crazy and use Rudiger and Christensen together to give David Luiz a rest at times. But anyway, moving straight into the final talking point, that's in regards to Sarri and his rotation policy, and as Sarri started to become a bit more flexible. Now, from what I'm seeing, I'm thinking yes, that's the case. When it came to the game against Huddersfield, that was really the first time that he had taken off our three most important players at the same time in a game. Yeah, of course, I was a bit annoyed that Hazard wasn't able to get a hat-trick, but when you look at our games we have this month, I understand why Sarri doesn't want to risk anything. And it does say quite a lot that Sarri did replace Hazard with Hudson-Odoi, but since this period, Sarri has been rotating a lot more. We've seen Emerson make league appearances, we've seen Ampadu and Christensen play, Hudson-Odoi has become a much more prominent part in the team. I wouldn't even be surprised if Sarri ended up using Danny Drinkwater in a game. Now, this could mean a few things. One thing it could mean is the fact that maybe Sarri is trusting the squad more because they have got up to speed with his tactical demands, or maybe it could be an indication that Sarri's realised that the team can't even get the basics of his system, and he's given the entire squad another chance at proving that they can play in the first team. It could also tell us that Sarri is listening to the team and rotating more to make everyone happier. But it's really good to see. I feel like we have to start considering burnout. I think this period, and it's every single winter period, we really struggle. This team can't really sustain their energy levels throughout that entire intensive period, and maybe if Sarri had rotated a bit more from the start, I think we could have had a potentially more successful period. But it seems like Sarri is listening. He isn't as stubborn as people make it out to be, and it's good to see other players proving that they can contribute to the season. But anyway, you guys, that's going to be the end for today's video. Please like, comment and subscribe. I'm Nini FC. This is Blue Lines TV. Signing out.